Hey, we're back on the Good Morning Artesia radio show. I'm mostly back, and Joby's all the way back.
All the way back.
All the way back. How you doing?
This morning. Very good, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I missed being at the game at the pit Friday night. That had to be a really electric atmosphere for those games with Goddard Friday night. You were there.
Yeah, it was where it really was. There was a big crowd there for the girls' game, and then it just kept growing during the girls' game, and got real big at the start of the boys' game, and had the band, had the cheerleaders. Goddard brought their cheerleaders, so Goddard always brings a lot of fan support as well. So great atmosphere. We came out on the losing end on both the girls and boys, but still a good games. I think. Based on talking to the coaches for the girls and the boys, that they don't like to lose, but I think they were relatively happy with how the teams performed. The Goddard girls, I think, ranked number 4 in the state, and so last week, and the Goddard boys were actually ranked, I think, in front of us, but Portales was ranked in front of both, Lovington was ranked in front of both the boys from Artesia and Goddard, and we have both beat them. So I don't know when those rankings, Robbie had the rankings, and they'd probably come out maybe prior to us beating them, or maybe they hadn't. Maybe they just, the folks in the NMA or whoever does those rankings on Max Preps, looked at Lovington's overall schedule.
Yeah,
and
strength of schedule and all that. And they would have been updated on the 3rd.
Yeah, so
and that game was on the 5th. So
yeah, so they guess they were updated.
They were
somehow they were still ranked in front of the Goddard Rockets, in front of the Artesia Bulldogs. They were 13-5, and we played them and beat them, so that put them at 13-6. And then they played Goddard. I don't know if before or after Portales. They beat Portales. Lovington did. So that would have made them 14-6, and then Goddard beat them. That would have made them 14-7.
Well, they're 13-7 on the 3rd.
They were 13-7,
and
that was because we had beaten them.
Yes, and Goddard had beaten them.
And Goddard.
And so that's what. But they were still 12, and we're 13, and Goddard was 15. Now, since then, Goddard beat us by the 1, and Lovington won, and that has not been refreshed yet. So it'll be interesting to see when that comes out. And so now they got a good week of practice, and then we go to Lovington on Friday, and then a week from tomorrow, Pack the Pit night, 6th annual boys basketball 6-man club hamburger fry, and that'll be on February 15th, 4 to 7 p.m. Pack the Pit night, $10 a plate. You get a hamburger, drink, chips, dessert, and that'll be the last regular season home game. And I'm sorry, I'm
dessert.
Oh, wait, there's 2 S's.
There's 2 S's, so maybe. I guess that's against Portales.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So, well, good. Well, what's happening in the world of the fish?
Well, so what's happening in the world of the fish is not a lot yet with our club in terms of we haven't started fishing yet. But we have our first tournament scheduled for March 5th and 6th. That's going to be at Amstead and Del Rio. It's a team tournament. Entry fee is $120. We have 20 some odd members that have already joined. I think we're going to have more join before this tournament. So a good start to 2022 coming out of these last 2 years, which have been strange. But looking forward to our season. And I know a lot of our guys are too, or all of them actually seem to be kind of chomping at the bits, getting ready to go fishing. Some of them have already been fishing. They're fishing in different places just on their own, and maybe in some tournaments that have already started. But as far as Pecos Valley Bassmasters, we've got that team tournament the first weekend in March, and then we will be fishing in conjunction over at Possum Kingdom with New Mexico Bass Nation on April 2nd and April 3rd, which will be two tournaments in 2 days. And so those are our upcoming 3 tournaments. And then, of course, we've got, hopefully we don't have any problems. I haven't talked to anybody with New Mexico State Parks yet, but we do have a tournament scheduled in April, on April 30th at Brantley. It'll be a one-day Saturday tournament. And so all of our Brantley tournaments we wrote on the schedule this year are team tournaments. We've got 5 of them. And so, maybe 4. I think we have 5 team tournaments in total, including that Amstead. But let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4 team tournaments at Brantley. They'll be one-day tournaments. And so 15 overall tournaments scheduled for New Mexico, or for Pecos Valley Bassmasters. And hopefully we get to fish them all. I mean, sometimes we have to adjust for weather, or like I said, if there's an issue with the state park, we can always just fish on the Champion Bay side, which is open. That's not part of the state park. It's a weird how the lake is laid out, I guess. But so we could do that, but we like to. I would prefer to be up in the parking lot, and because on that side of the lake there's just dirt, which we could do. But hopefully we don't have any issues getting permits. I'm getting ready to probably in the next week or so. I'm going to send off for permits because we've got one. We got those 5 Brantleys, and then we've got one scheduled at Ute this year. And so, and right now, that's the only ones we have scheduled in. Actually, we've got 2 tournaments, one weekend at Ute Lake.
Right.
And so that's what's going on in the world of fishing. I've talked to some of our guys. I know we've got for this team tournament. I've talked to a couple of our already paid members, and they've got. Guys are going to fish with them. I don't know if they'll just fish that one and join and do it as a guest, or if they'll go ahead and join. But getting ready to fish. I'll tell you a funny story. I was at the cheer competition Saturday over in Lovington. My daughter is a cheerleader for the Bulldogs, and those. I don't know, Gene, have you ever been to one of those competitions? They're kind of long. Have you covered one? Ever been one?
I don't think I personally have covered one.
Okay,
I know we have in the past.
We have covered them.
I don't think I have been.
KSVPS.
Yeah.
So they're pretty. They're well. I say they're long. They're 3.5, 4 hours. But so your team takes all of 5 minutes at the max to do their stuff. So I got a lot of time. I'm not a big cheerleading fan in terms of other teams. So I was scrolling Facebook, and I had come up on a page of one of our New Mexico Bass Nation sponsors, San Juan Marine, which is up in the northwest side of the state, up in Farmington. And I know the owner. He fishes with the New Mexico Bass Nations. Anyway, I was the gym was loud because that's just how it is. You can hardly hear yourself think. But I was looking at Facebook, and I come up on it, and he had a boat that he had put on there, as an advertisement, and was a new boat he'd got in. And I was just looking at the pictures. I'd probably been looking at it for 20 seconds, maybe 20, 30 seconds, pictures of this boat, and my phone rings, and it's the owner of San Juan Marine calling me. And I was like,
you looking at the
I don't
boat?
know. I mean, can you see someone just looking
I
on
don't
Facebook?
know. That would be a little scary. I don't know that I'd like that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think it was just ironic. I think it was just coincidence.
Yeah.
Because I have businesses, and I use Facebook as one of our advertising avenues. And I don't think you could see them
in real time.
In real time. I think it was just really ironic, really coincidental and I didn't answer the phone because I wouldn't have been able to hear him, and I didn't want to tell him, hey, I need to call him back today, but he was just calling to tell me he had gotten some new boats in and yada, 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 but it was just funny.
Yeah.
When you're sitting there and I mean, it was weird. I was thinking, what?
Yeah, that is.
Because his name, I'm looking at his page, and his name pops up, and he's calling me.
That's crazy. So, hey, let me ask you this about the cheerleading, because you saw the cheerleading competition, and I've kind of noticed this. Our cheerleaders stack, or a whole, second row, or however you call that. I don't see a lot of other cheerleaders around here that do that type of
during
routine.
games.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, Goddard does it and are pretty good at it at the cheerleading competition. So, and that's one of the teams and really, frankly, the only cheerleaders haven't been traveling much. So this Goddard cheer coming to our gym was the first time, I think, this year maybe.
Yeah.
I don't even remember if Carlsbad brought cheerleaders. I don't think they did. I mean, in years past, they've always brought the local schools and district and everything. But this last couple of years, cheerleaders really haven't been traveling much. And I know because because I'm at our home games doing our games, and then my daughter's a cheerleader, and they haven't got to travel to many out-of-town games for basketball.
Yeah.
But I will say this: they all do those things at the competitions. They do a lot of stuff. They do, pretty much every school, even the small schools, even the junior highs. They have junior high competitions at those same competitions, and they do them.
Maybe they only do that when they're at home and.
I don't know. I've noticed that they don't do it a lot on the gym floor when they're cheering. Our girls go up and put 3 up into the air, and I've seen over the years plenty of cheerleaders do it at games. But you're right, I haven't noticed it that much this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a part of the game. It's a part of the atmosphere, and you're glad when it can happen. And
it was a great atmosphere. I hate that we weren't able to get the wins. I know that those things, obviously that you want to win every game, but I think that both Coach Mondragon and Coach Houghtaling both build, obviously with their staffs, are building on these games. But if they're in the second season now, they got to get some wins, make sure they get into the tournament, and then anything can happen. So we'll just see how they do.
Yeah, pretty cool. Going back on the fishing, if folks, now you can join as a, the members you join, you can fish as a boater or a non-boater, depending on how who you partner up with at a tournament. But the membership is, you become a member, and then you also pay for your New Mexico Bass Nation and your
BASS nationally.
Is all part of your membership.
Yeah, we collect all of that as a club, and then we send it on, which I've got some questions for New Mexico Bass Nation and BASS, looking at their BASS has changed their website, has changed up their roster system, and I'm having a lot of struggles with it. In talking to other people around the state of New Mexico, they are too, but I think I got our roster put in correctly, but I haven't sent any money anywhere because I got some real questions on it. It looks, there's some things on that website that make me think that things have changed and I didn't know it, and so I've got to get all that answered before I get back to our club.
But whatever it winds up being, it's just a pass through.
It's a pass through. We don't keep any. We keep our club dues, and then that just goes to our club. But anyway. We'll see what happens with the tournaments. I think I'm hoping and I'm thinking that we'll be able to fish New Mexico lakes this year. So we'll see.
Well, that's exciting. I know, being the Pecos Valley Bass Masters, you don't want to fish in Texas all the time.
Well, we do fish a lot in Texas, even when years pass, because there's just more water. There's just more lakes. Mm-hmm. But we do like to fish in New Mexico. We're here. Being right here where we're located in southeast New Mexico, it's a pretty good drive no matter what lake we go to, besides Brantley.
Yeah.
And when Brantley is low and no fish, it makes it a tough place to fish.
Are there some New Mexico lakes that you haven't fished that you would like to maybe add to the schedule at some point in time and fish at?
Personally, probably not. We could go to Navajo, although I've heard Navajo that's up in Farmington area. Mm-hmm. I've heard they still have tremendous restrictions. But other than that, we've fished Elephant Butte. We have fished Brantley, of course. We have fished Ute and Conchas. There's some other real small lakes that probably... we fished Fort Sumner. We fished Santa Rosa. Those are pretty small lakes, but in the years past we have. So I don't think there's many other lakes that I would personally say let's try to go to, just because there's not many other lakes in the state, and the ones that are really small, besides Navajo. Navajo's about an 8-hour drive. So it would be easily the farthest one we would go to if we fished it. But my understanding is they're still heavily restricted. So even if we wanted to add Navajo, we couldn't, I don't think, this year.
And I think Elephant Butte, are they still way down?
Elephant Butte is, the last time I looked, which has been a while, they were at 5%. It's been at like 5% of their capacity for a long time. Yeah. So very, very, very low. Still probably the biggest lake in New Mexico, but just really low. When you say 95% doesn't have water, that tells you that's a big percentage. Yeah. I have seen some things over this winter that people were catching some great fish out of Elephant Butte, but personally, I'm not a big fan of Elephant Butte. My years of fishing there have been through this drought and not real good fishing. Plus, I'm just not that good. Probably there'd be people out there that say, well, if you were a better fisherman, you'd like it. So that's probably true. That's probably true.
Coach Johnson?
If you know where the fish are, and Lee has had, I say, good luck over there. We did fish there in conjunction with the Mexico Bass Nation a few years ago, and he made the team that year. Mm-hmm. And so he definitely caught some fish there. I did too, but I just didn't have anything of any size and very few fish. But, yeah, I'm not as good as Coach Johnson, no doubt.
So if folks want to learn more, the website, the Facebook page, what's the best way to go?
pvbm.club, which is our acronym, Pecos Valley Bassmasters. So pvbm.club is our website. Of course, you can find us on Facebook under Pecos Valley Bassmasters and come out and go fishing with us.
All right. Joby, thank you so much for coming in.
Hey,